Hi! Welcome to Holy Time TV. Before we start, smash that subscribe button for more videos like this in the future. In the Bible, Genesis tells the story of creation, the beginning of human history, and the establishment of God's covenant with Abraham and his descendants. While weaning a child might seem like a mundane event, it held significance in the context of the biblical narrative and the culture of the time. In Genesis chapter 21 verse 8, the weaning of Isaac, Abraham and Sarah's son, is mentioned. This event is important for several reasons. Symbolic milestone. Weaning a child was a significant milestone in a child's life in ancient cultures, as it marked the transition from infancy to early childhood. This event often signified that a child had survived the most vulnerable years of life and was now more likely to reach adulthood. It was a cause for celebration and gratitude. The fulfillment of God's promise. The birth and weaning of Isaac were significant because they represented the fulfillment of God's promise to Abraham and Sarah. Despite their old age, God had promised them a son who would be the ancestor of a great nation. Genesis chapter 17 verses 15 to 21. The weaning of Isaac was an affirmation of God's faithfulness to his promises. Family conflict. The weaning of Isaac also set the stage for a conflict within Abraham's family. In Genesis chapter 21 verses 9 to 10, Sarah sees Ishmael, Abraham's son, by his maidservant Hagar, mocking during the celebration. This event prompts Sarah to ask Abraham to send Hagar and Ishmael away, leading to the separation of Ishmael from the rest of the family. This conflict highlights the tension between the two lineages, which has significant implications for the broader biblical narrative. In summary, the weaning of a child in Genesis held importance due to its symbolic significance as a milestone, its representation of God's faithfulness to his promises, and its role in setting the stage for family conflict within the biblical narrative. Isaac's weaning in the biblical narrative can be related to his status as Abraham's heir in several ways. Survival and growth. Weaning a child was an important milestone in ancient times, as it marked the transition from infancy to early childhood. This event often signified that a child had survived the most vulnerable years of life and was now more likely to reach adulthood. In Isaac's case, his weaning indicated that he was growing and maturing, solidifying his status as Abraham's heir and the child through whom God's promises would be fulfilled. Celebration and affirmation. In Genesis chapter 21 verse 8, we read that Abraham held a great feast to celebrate Isaac's weaning. This celebration not only marked a significant milestone in Isaac's life but also served as a public affirmation of Isaac's status as Abraham's heir. By hosting a feast, Abraham was acknowledging Isaac as his legitimate son and the one through whom God's covenant would continue. Family dynamics and conflict. The weaning of Isaac also set the stage for a conflict within Abraham's family. In Genesis chapter 21 verses 9 to 10, Sarah sees Ishmael, the son of Abraham, and his maidservant Hagar, mocking during the celebration. The exact nature of Ishmael's behavior is not clear, but Sarah interprets it as a threat to Isaac's status as the heir. This prompts Sarah to ask Abraham to send Hagar and Ishmael away, leading to the separation of Ishmael from the rest of the family. This incident underscores the importance of Isaac's role as the heir and the tension between the two lineages. Confirmation of God's promise. Isaac's weaning and the subsequent events further confirm God's promise to Abraham and Sarah. As mentioned earlier, God had promised Abraham that he would have a son and that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky. Genesis chapter 15. The birth and weaning of Isaac were significant milestones in the fulfillment of that promise, and they affirmed God's faithfulness and divine plan. In summary, the weaning of Isaac is related to his status as Abraham's heir in several ways, including his survival and growth, the affirmation of his status through celebration, the family dynamics and conflict that arise from his position, and the confirmation of God's promise to Abraham and Sarah. The story of Isaac's weaning, and the broader biblical narrative surrounding his birth and life, offers several lessons for Christians to consider. God's faithfulness. The miraculous birth of Isaac to an elderly couple and his weaning are testaments to God's faithfulness in keeping his promises. This story teaches Christians to trust in God, even when circumstances seem impossible or improbable. Obedience and trust. Abraham's unwavering obedience and trust in God's plan, despite the challenges he faced and the apparent impossibility of having a son at his age, demonstrate the importance of faith and submission to God's will. This story encourages Christians to have faith in God's promises and to follow his guidance, even when it is difficult. The importance of patience. Abraham and Sarah had to wait many years for the fulfillment of God's promise, and they experienced several setbacks along the way, including Sarah's barrenness and the birth of Ishmael. The story teaches Christians the value of patience and perseverance in their spiritual journey, trusting that God's timing is perfect. God's sovereignty. The events surrounding Isaac's birth and weaning, as well as the family dynamics involving Ishmael, show that God is in control of all circumstances. Christians can draw comfort and strength from the knowledge that God is sovereign over their lives and is working out his plan, even amidst challenges and conflicts. The value of celebration and gratitude. Abraham's decision to hold a feast in honor of Isaac's weaning demonstrates the importance of expressing gratitude and celebrating God's blessings. Christians can learn from this example to be thankful for the milestones and blessings in their own lives, acknowledging God's provision and care. Dealing with conflicts and tensions. The story of the conflict between Sarah and Hagar, and the tension between Isaac and Ishmael, illustrates the challenges that can arise within families and communities. Christians can learn from this story the importance of seeking God's guidance and wisdom in dealing with conflicts and maintaining unity in the body of Christ. In summary, the story of Isaac's weaning offers several lessons for Christians, including the importance of trusting in God's faithfulness, obedience, patience, recognizing God's sovereignty, gratitude, and dealing with conflicts and tensions in a God-honoring way. If you liked this video, don't forget hit that like button, and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this in the future. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.